Welcome to another exciting night of varsity girls volleyball here on CPHS 6. I'm Emily Desmond, and tonight we have the Port Huron Northern Huskies versus the Dakota Cougars. And that's going to be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Aaron Gallagher now serving for the Huskies. And that's going to drop in, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Richards to Lance. And Hoffman will miss it, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Minierski to Hoffman. And Keith is going to let it drop in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Brianna Murphy with the serve. And it'll hit the net, so that'll be a point for the Cougars. Kaylee Willard now in for the Cougars. And that will drop in just inside, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. That ties it up 3-3. Over to Murphy, and no one there. The Cougars will take a 4-3 lead. And that will be out. That'll be a point for the Huskies. Mackenzie Lance now serving for the Huskies. And that's going to be out. Cougars taking a 5-4 lead. Carly Snyder now serving for the Cougars. And it won't get over the net. That ties it up at 5. Alex Shell coming in for the Huskies. Now serving is Amy Sang. Over to Snyder. And Hoffman will hit it over and in. Cougars now leading 6-5, and Churches comes in for the Cougars. Hoffman with the serve. Over to Sang. To Shell. Over to Kohler. To Snyder. Over to Sang will hit it. Over to Dooley. Shell gets it over. To Richards. Kohler drops it over. And it'll be off of Delaney Dooley. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. Hoffman with the serve. Over to Dooley. Shell gets it over, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Cougars still leading 7-6 over the Huskies. Now serving is Rachel Kohler. Over to Murphy, to Richard. Shell gets it over, and it'll drop in. Kohler with the serve, over to Snyder. To Richards. Murphy's blocked but gets it over to Richards. Shell gets it over to Snyder. To Sang, to Richards. And Murphy gets it over. And it'll be hit up by Megan Downey, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies leading 8-7 over the Cougars. Kohler with the serve to Snyder. To Downey, gets it over to Richards. Snyder to Marninsky. Murphy to Kohler. Dooley gets it over. To Richards. Murphy gets it over. And that'll drop just inside, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cassandra Keith now serving to Sang, to Richards. Shell gets it over. Snyder's gonna hit it out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies leading 9-8. Mackenzie Lance back in for the Huskies. Becca Richards with the serve. Over to Downey. Churches gets it over to Richards. Lance gets it over. And that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies leading 10-8. Richards with the serve to Snyder. Downey gets it over, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Downey with the serve to Kohler, to Richards. Lance gets it over and in. Huskies now taking an 11-9 lead. And Aaron Gallagher back in the game for the Huskies. Gallagher with the serve. Marninsky to Snyder. She hits it out. That'll be another point for the Huskies. Huskies adding to their lead. Now it's 12-9. Gallagher with the serve. And that's going to be hit out by Keith. Another point for the Huskies. Gallagher with the serve. And now Downey hits it out. And that's going to be a timeout for the Cougars. And both teams now back out on the court. Huskies leading 14-9 over the Cougars. Aaron Gallagher with the serve. Over to Snyder. To Richards. Now the Cougars with the ball. Over to Snyder. And that'll be off the Huskies, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Leah Hoffman back in the game for the Cougars. Church is now serving. Off of Kohler to Riley. Field goal. Murphy gets it over to Snyder to Mariansky. It'll drop in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Brianna Murphy now serving. To Downey. Snyder gets it over. It'll be off of Murphy, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Megan Mariansky now serving. And that'll be a point for the Huskies. Excuse me, for the Cougars. Mariansky with the serve. To Lance, to Richards. Riley Fielko gets it over. To Mariansky. Willer unable to get to the ball, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies still leading 16-12. Mackenzie Lance with the serve. Over to Manierski. And that'll be a point for Snyder. Cougars still down 13-16. Carly Snyder with the serve. Justine Colston unable to get there in time. Cougars closing the gap, only down by 2. Snyder with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Kohler gets it over. Snyder. And that'll be a block. And that'll be a point for the Huskies. Alex Schell back in the game for the Huskies. Amy Sang now serving. Manierski to Downey. It'll be blocked by the Huskies, and that'll be a point. Huskies leading 18-14. Sang with the serve. Over to Snyder. To Manierski. Hoffman gets it over. Richards gets it over. Snyder gets it over. Dooley gets it over. Downey gets it over, and it will drop in, and the Cougars will get a point. Churches is now back in for the Cougars. Hoffman with the serve. To Murphy, to Richards. Murphy gets it over. Huskies now leading 19-15. Kohler with the serve. Over to Downey, to Manierski. Downey gets the block. Snyder gets it over to Murphy, to Richards. It'll be blocked, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cassandra Keith back in for the Cougars. Cougars are down 16-19. Keith with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Murphy unable to get the ball over the net, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Keith with the serve to Sang, to Kohler. Downey gets it over to Murphy, to Richards. Over to Manierski, to Churches, to Richards. Manierski, Downey gets it over. It'll drop in. Cougars now only down by 1. Keith with the serve to Sang to Richards. Shell gets it over to Snyder to Manierski. Downey gets it over to Murphy to Richards. Kohler gets it over. And that ties the game up at 19, and that's going to be a timeout on the Huskies. Both teams making their way back out onto the court. Game tied up 19. Keith with the serve to Sang to Richards. Shell gets it over. It'll be blocked by Churches. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars finally taking the lead 20-19 over the Huskies. Keith with the serve to Sang to Richards. Kohler gets it over. And that'll tie the game up at 20. Becca Richards with the serve to Manierski. Downey gets it over. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars taking the lead 21-20. Megan Downey with the serve to Kohler to Richards. Lance gets it over to Snyder to Manierski. Snyder gets it over off of Kohler to Richards. Murphy gets it. It'll be blocked. Shell gets it. Murphy blocked again. And it looks like the Cougars will get the point after all. Downey with the serve to Kohler to Richards. Shell gets blocked. It'll bobble off the Huskies. And the Cougars now taking a couple point lead, leading 23-20. Downey with the serve to Murphy to Kohler. Murphy gets it over to Manierski. Snyder. And that's going to be a timeout. Both teams making their way back out onto the court. Megan Downey now serving. Over to Kohler, to Richards. Lance gets it over and it'll drop in. Huskies down 21-24. Aaron Gallagher now serving for the Huskies. Over to Downey to Manierski. And that'll be off of Kohler. And that's going to do it for the first game. Cougars winning it 25-21 over the Huskies. And we're back for the second game. Becca Richards serving for the Huskies. Over to Snyder, to Manierski. Downey gets it over. That'll be out. Huskies get the first point of the game. Richards with the serve. Nice attack by Richards. This will give the Huskies a 2-point lead. Richards with the serve. To Manierski. Be blocked. Manierski gets it over to Kohler, to Richards. Lance gets it over to Manierski. Downey gets it over. It'll drop in, and that'll be the first point for the Cougars. Downey with the serve. And that serve will be out. Huskies now leading 3-1. Aaron Gallagher now in the game for the Huskies. Gallagher with the serve to Manierski. Churches gets it over. It'll drop in. Cougars down by 1. Kylie Churches with the serve to Richards. Lance gets it over to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over. Sang's dig was no good, and that'll be a point for the Cougars, tying it up at 3. Churches with the serve to Fielkow. Snyder gets it over and in. Cougars now leading 4-3. Churches with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Lance unable to get it over to Sang. And that's going to be a point for the Cougars.
You gotta keep an eye.
Cougars adding to the lead, now leading 5-3. A lack of communication there on the Huskies. Sang and Kohler both going for the ball at the same time. That will result in a point for the Cougars. And that's to Kohler. Murphy gets it over to Downey, to Snyder. Manierski gets it over. And they'll drop right in front of Sang. Cougars now with a 7-3 lead. Churches with the serve. And that ball will be out. Huskies down by 3. And Brianna Murphy will now serve. To Downey, to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over to Lance, to Richards. Murphy unable to get it over the net, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Kaylee Willert now in the game for the Cougars. Manierski with the serve. To Richards, Manierski to Downey. Snyder unable to get the ball over. And Mackenzie Lance will serve for the Huskies. To Downey, to Manierski. Snyder gets it over and blocked. Huskies will get the point. And that'll be off the Cougars, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies now only down by 1. Lance with the serve. Downey unable to make it over the net. This will tie the game up at 8. Lance with the serve to Manierski. Snyder gets it over and in. Snyder with the serve to Murphy to Richards. Sang gets it over to Snyder to Manierski. To Dooley. Kohler gets it over to Manierski to Snyder. Downey gets it over to Murphy to Richards. Riley Fielko gets it over to Manierski. Snyder will be blocked, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 9. Sang with the serve to Snyder. Downey gets it over. Nice attack there by Downey. Cougars now leading 10-9. Leah Hoffman now serving for the Cougars. Dooley to Richards. Shell gets it over. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 11-9. Hoffman with the serve to Dooley to Richards. Shell gets it over. It'll be blocked by Shell, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies down by 1. Rachel Kohler now serving to Snyder to Manierski. Downey gets it over to Kohler to Richards. Murphy gets it over. The block unsuccessful for the Cougars. And that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 11. Kohler with the serve to Snyder. Manierski. Downey gets it over. It'll drop in. Alyssa Salisi now in the game for the Cougars. Salisi with the serve to Sang to Richards. Shell is blocked, and that'll be a point. That'll actually be a point for the Huskies. It looks like it was going to be touched by the Cougars, and that'll tie the game up at 12. Richards with the serve to Snyder to Manierski. Downey gets it over. It'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies finally taking the lead, 13-12. Richards with the serve to Manierski. Snyder, nice attack there by Snyder. That'll tie the game up at 13. Megan Downey with the serve to Lance to Kohler. Lance gets it over. It'll drop in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Aaron Gallagher and Riley Fielko now in the game for the Huskies. Gallagher with the serve to Downey. Snyder gets it over to Gallagher to Snyder, Marinierski. Snyder gets it over. It'll be dropped by Richards, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. This ties the game up at 14. Leah Hoffman now back in the game for the Cougars. Churches with the serve to Richards. Riley Fielko gets it over to Churches. To Marinierski. Snyder gets it over to Riley Fielko to Richards. Lance's pass will be blocked, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 15-14 over the Huskies. Churches with the serve to Kohler to Richards. Riley Fielko gets the ball. Over to Snyder to Sang to Richards. Brenna Murphy gets it over to Downey. And they will be unable to get it over the net. That'll be a point for the Huskies. That'll tie the game up at 15. Brianna Murphy with the serve to Snyder, and it'll just drop in, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Kaylee Willert back in the game for the Cougars. Marinierski with the serve. Over to Lance, to Richards. Lance gets it over to Marinierski. Downey gets it over to Richards, to Lance. Kohler gets it over to Downey, to Marinierski. Snyder gets it over. It'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 16. Lance with the serve to Marinierski. Willard unable to get the ball over the net, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Lance with the serve to Downey, to Marinierski. Snyder with the attack, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. This will tie the game up at 17. Snyder's with the serve to Richards. Delaney gets it over to Downey. It'll be blocked by the Huskies. Huskies now leading 18-17. Alex Schell back in the game for the Huskies. Sang with the serve to Marinierski. Downey gets it over to Richards, to Dooley. Kohler gets it over. It'll be out. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. This game tied up now at 18. Leah Hoffman now serving. Over to Sang, to Richards. Kohler gets it over to Willert, to Marinierski. Downey gets it over to Richards, to Dooley. Kohler gets it over to Marinierski, to Hoffman. Snyder gets it over to Kohler, to Richards. Now to Snyder, Marinierski. Churches gets it over. It'll be in. Cougars take a 19-18 lead over the Huskies. Hoffman with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Kohler gets it over to Kohler, to Richards. Schell gets it over to Snyder, to Marinierski. Downey gets it over. She'll hit the net, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 19. Rachel Kohler with the serve to Snyder to Manierski. Downey gets it over. It'll be missed by the Huskies. And the Cougars take a 20-19 lead. Alyssa Scalisi now in the game for the Cougars. Scalisi with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Kohler gets it over to Churches, to Manierski. Downey gets it over. Shell with the block, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 20. Mackenzie Lance back in the game for the Huskies. Becca Richards with the serve to Snyder, to Manierski. Downey gets it over. Sang unable to get there in time. And that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 21-20 over the Huskies. Megan Downey with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Lance gets it over and in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. This will tie the game up at 21. Aaron Gallagher back in the game for the Huskies. Gallagher with the serve. It'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 22-21. Leah Hoffman back in the game for the Cougars. Kylie Churches with the serve. Over to Sang, to Richards. Murphy gets it over, blocked, to Kohler. Hoffman will drop it in, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 23-21. And that's going to be a Huskies timeout. And both teams back out on the court. Kylie Churches with the serve. It'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies down by 1. Brianna Murphy with the serve. To Manierski. To Kohler, to Richards, to Kohler. To Manierski. Snyder. It'll go just outside. Cougars leading 24-22 over the Huskies. Megan Manierski with the serve. To Lance. And the Cougars are going to win 25-22 over the Huskies. And we're back to start the third game. Megan Downey with the serve. Over to Murphy, to Richards. To Snyder. Churches gets it over to Sang. To Richards. Lance gets it over. It'll be just outside, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Downey with the serve. To Sang, to Richards. Murphy gets it over. To Manierski, to Snyder. Kohler gets it over. Churches gets it over. Lance unable to get a hold of it, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 2-0 over the Huskies. Downey. It'll be out. And the Cougars now leading 3-0. Downey with the serve to Kohler to Richards. Murphy's blocked, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars pulling ahead 4-0 now. Downey, and she will hit it out. That'll put the Huskies on the board. Aaron Gallagher now serving to Downey to Manierski. Snyder unable to get it over. Huskies now only trailing by 2. Gallagher with the serve. It'll be out. Cougars leading 5-2 over the Huskies. Kylie Churches with the serve. To Lance, to Richards, unable to get it over the net. Cougars leading 6-2. Churches with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Lance gets it over to Churches, to Manierski. Snyder gets it over. Great attack there by Snyder, and now the Cougars leading 7-2. Churches with the serve to Kohler, to Richards. That'll be out for a Cougars point. Cougars leading 8-2. Churches with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Lance gets it over to Churches, to Manierski. Hoffman with the attack, and that's going to be a point for the Cougars. The Cougars showing no mercy this game, leading 9-2. Churches with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Kohler gets it over to Downey, to Manierski. Snyder gets it over to Manierski. Snyder gets it over. It'll drop in for a Cougar point. Church is serving again over to Richards. Murphy able to get it over, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies trailing by 7. Brenna Murphy with the serve to Downey. Hoffman gets it over to Sang, to Richards. Riley Fielko's blocked. Manierski will just drop it in. Cougars leading 11-3. Taylor Vranish now in the game. Manierski with the serve to Lance, to Richards. Kohler gets it over and drops it in. Huskies still trailing 4-11.
Keep going.
Mackenzie Lance with the serve. Riley Fielko gets it over to Snyder. Hoffman drops it in. Cougars leading 12-4 over the Huskies. Snyder with the serve It'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Alex Shell now in the game for the Huskies. Amy Sang now serving to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over to Murphy, to Richards. Kohler will be blocked, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Hoffman with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Dooley gets it over to Snyder, to Manierski. Churches will drop it in, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. The Cougars with a significant lead here, 14-5 over the Huskies. Leah Hoffman now serving. Over to Sang, to Richards. Kohler gets it over. It'll be off for Murphy, and that'll be another point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 15-5 over the Huskies. Hoffman with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Hoffman to Manierski. Dooley gets it over. Kohler unable to get there in time, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Hoffman with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Kohler blocked. And the Cougars now taking a huge lead, leading 17-5 over the Huskies.
Watch it.
Hoffman with the serve. And that'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Huskies trailing by 11. Colston unable to get it over the net. Cassandra Keith now back in the game for the Cougars. To Dooley. Alex Shell drops it in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Mackenzie Lance back in the game now for the Huskies. Becca Richards now serving. To Manierski. Downey gets it over to Richards, to Lance. Murphy gets it over to Snyder, to Manierski. Downey gets it over. Richards gets it over to Manierski. Churches gets it over. It'll be off of Richards, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Downey with the serve to Sang, to Richards. Murphy gets it over to Downey, to Manierski. Snyder gets it over. Richards at the ball. To Manierski. Snyder gets it over. Churches gets it over to Sang. To Richards. Murphy gets it over. It'll be off the Cougars, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Aaron Gallagher back in the game now. Huskies trailing 8-20. Gallagher, Oda Manierski. And Churches with the attack. Hoffman back in the game for the Cougars. Churches with the serve. Colston unable to do anything, and that'll be a point for the Cougars. Cougars leading 22-8 over the Huskies. Churches with the serve to Sang, to Hoffman. Sang gets it over to Snyder, to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over to Sang. Manierski, Snyder gets it over to Sang, to Richards. Lance gets it over to Manierski. Snyder gets it over, it'll be out, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Murphy with the serve to Manierski, to Snyder. Richards, Murphy gets it over to Manierski. Snyder gets it over to Murphy, to Richards. Riley Fielko gets it over to Manierski. Snyder gets it over. Richards unable to get there in time. Cougars leading 23-9 over the Huskies. And Vranish back in the game for the Cougars. Manierski with the serve to Murphy, to Richards. Murphy gets it over. Nice attack there by Murphy. Huskies trailing by 13. Mackenzie Lance with the serve to Snyder, to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over. Cougars just 1 point away from winning this game. Megan Downey now back in the game for the Cougars. Snyder with the serve to Murphy. Hoffman gets it over to Dooley. Colston drops it in, and that'll be a point for the Huskies. Alex Schell back in the game for the Huskies. Amy Sang now serving. Snyder to Manierski. Hoffman gets it over to Murphy, to Richards. Colston gets it over. Snyder gets it over. And that's going to do it. The Dakota Cougars won 25-11 over the Huskies, and they took all 3 games. This has been Emily Desmond with CPHS 6. Good night.